The Chicago Bears, they might miss the playoffs this year. And even if they do, this is still a successful season for them. If you would have told a Bears fan before the season that they would have went 9-8 before the season, let's just say hypothetically that's their record at the end of the year. I'm not saying that that's going to happen. You have to feel excited if you're a Bears fan because of the fact that you have had so much inconsistency with the head coach and the quarterback. And now this is year one of a partnership between Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, where you can actually say, I see the vision. So I want to spend some time talking about the Chicago Bears, and they had a disappointing loss yesterday against the Green Bay Packers. It wasn't disappointing in like a bad way. It's just, I wish we would have came up with a score there at the end of the game that would have tied the game there and put us in a position to win the game. I'm not a Bears fan, by the way, so I'm talking we and us. I'm just saying, like, from a Bears fan's perspective. Here's my take about the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears, they might miss the playoffs this year. And even if they do, this is still a successful season for them. If you would have told a Bears fan before the season that they would have went 9-8 before the season, let's just say hypothetically that's their record at the end of the year. I'm not saying that that's going to happen. You have to feel excited if you're a Bears fan because of the fact that you have had so much inconsistency with the head coach and the quarterback. And now this is year one of a partnership between Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, where you can actually say, I see the vision. I see consistency with the quarterback and the head coach going forward here for 10 plus years. And what I really like about what Ben Johnson has done with Caleb Williams is he's making him play like a professional quarterback. You could say Caleb Williams hasn't lived up to the billing of a number one overall pick. Okay, not yet to this point of his career. Fine, that's a fair point. But when I look at Caleb Williams from this second season and compare that to his rookie season and see the quarterback that he has become a professional quarterback. And what I like about Ben Johnson and what he's doing with Caleb Williams right now is, hey, this isn't going to be a one-year turnaround where last year you were a disappointing rookie and now you're going to be the best quarterback in the league. It's going to take some time. And I think that you have seen some big-time strides with Caleb Williams as a quarterback under Ben Johnson. And you see that he's letting him use his legs. Caleb Williams' legs are a weapon, but they're a weapon if the play breaks down. It's not your immediate, this is my first resort, is to use my legs. It's no, go through your progressions, and if it's not there, then use your legs. And I think that's what Caleb Williams has done such a good job of doing this year. And that's where I just say, like, whether they're contenders, whether they're pretenders, it does not matter. And the reason why I say it doesn't matter is because you have answers being questioned, you have questions being answered that going into the season, you needed answered. You needed to know if you had a legitimate head coach. You have a legitimate head coach. You needed to know if you have a franchise quarterback. He's on his way to being a franchise quarterback in Caleb Williams. And that's why, if you're a Bears fan, you need to feel good about this season because not every team's goal is the Super Bowl. 32 teams are not competing for a Super Bowl every single year. There's a handful of teams that are competing for a Super Bowl. There's a handful of teams that are trying to make the playoffs. There's a handful of teams that are just trying to get things back on track with their organization. And then there's a handful of teams that are saying, like, look, we're tearing this down. We're trying to be the number one overall pick, and we're trying to get the best possible draft pick that we can get. And I think that over the past few seasons, the Bears have been trying to get into the playoffs, right? That's been their goal, and they failed on that goal. With Justin Fields there for a few years, they thought that they built a team that could potentially make the playoffs. They were wrong from that perspective. This year with the Chicago Bears, their goal, I think, was just to get the train back on the tracks, right? And that's what they did this year. I think them making the playoffs would be a drastic step up to where they were. Remember, this is a team that was drafting in the top 10. This is a team that has had disappointing seasons the last few years here. And the goal for this season should have been, let's get the train back on the tracks. And if that was the goal going into this season, they absolutely got the train back on the tracks, because going into this offseason, whether they make the playoffs or whether they don't, you're going to look at the Bears and you're going to be like, that's a team you have to watch out for. That's a team you have to watch out for. And the reason why I say that is because What makes the Bears special to me, because they're the 7th seed in the NFC now. Going into this game, they were the 1 seed. And what I was saying was, what makes the Chicago Bears special is not that they have all this overwhelming talent. They have some young talent that I really like. I really like Odunze, and I think Loveland's doing some things. He's making some progress. I think Luther Burden has started to show up here recently. The offensive line's starting to play better. There are some things that you really like about this team from a personnel perspective. But what I really like about the Chicago Bears is the fact that they go into every game and they have a coaching advantage. They might not have the personnel advantage, but they have the coaching advantage. Ben Johnson is as good as it comes when it comes to dialing up play calls. Dennis Allen, remember with Dennis Allen here, right? Dennis Allen used to have Tom Brady in hell. Dennis Allen has dialed up some of the best quarterbacks that have ever played this game. So I think that when you look at this team, what gives them an advantage on game day is the guys calling plays on the sidelines. And that's so important because what's really good about the Chicago Bears here is that they have a defensive coordinator that I think is outstanding. And when it comes to Dennis Allen, he's not going to be getting a head coaching job anytime soon. I don't think so. I think he's in that category of he's a great defensive coordinator. He's not a good head coach. And if you could find one of those guys, that's a guy that you can have around your organization for 10 plus years. I mean, look at what the Chiefs are doing with Spagnuolo. I mean, if you have the right head coach and you have a defensive coordinator like that, you have consistency with your play calling for 10 plus years. And I cannot tell you how important that is as an organization to have consistency with your play callers when it comes to the offensive side of the ball, because you have an offensive minded head coach who can call plays, and he is a good head coach. This guy is not just an offensive coordinator that's a head coach like Mike McDaniel. This guy is a head coach that calls plays. There's a difference between being an offensive coordinator that's a head coach and being a head coach that's an offensive coordinator. If you know what I mean. What I mean is Ben Johnson's a head coach first, offensive coordinator second. Whereas I look at a guy like Mike McDaniels, he's an offensive coordinator first and a head coach second. Sorry to give Mike McDaniel strays, because Mike McDaniel, they've been doing some good things there in Miami recently, and they're on a little bit of a streak here where, you know, they could potentially threaten to make the playoffs here. But that's besides the point. I really like what I'm seeing from the Chicago Bears this year. And I get it. You know, you don't want to do the moral victory thing, but the Chicago Bears going into this game, I mean, it is December 8th right now. It was December 7th yesterday. They were the number 1 seed in the NFC. If you would have told a Bears fan before the season that they were the number 1 seed in the NFC on December 7th, they're going to take that 10 times out of 10. And they have a little bit of a difficult schedule coming up here, which is why I'm not 100% convinced that they make the playoffs. But regardless, the goals that they had going into this season have been fulfilled. You have a head coach and you've made significant progress at the quarterback position. So from that perspective, as a Bears fan, you need to feel good about this season.